April 2022, and oil leak remains. If I didn't know any better, I'd just take off the oil cooler and put the filter straight to the block, but the oil cooler plays a part. I've got the shroud off. That's why it looks, as you can see, this is a new, the wife already cleaned this off somewhat. That was pretty bad. And as you can tell, I'm hoping all that spray up is from the cooler there, not sealing. I know part of it was as the season started last year. I seen it was still leaking. I don't know, maybe this is like the Achilles heel of John Deere's oil cooler. Just constant leak. I don't know, but you can see that right there. There's a pretty good oil right here. That kind of concerns me. I might take that off and make sure it's not coming from areas it shouldn't be, other than just spraying up from here and there. Okay, we got this cleaned up a little bit now. So what I'm going to do is start it up, heat it up, get that oil nice and thin, drain the oil. I still need to remove this cover plate, get that grass out of there. There's another video for that. And when I remove the oil cooler, I'm going to take a good close look at that O-ring and see if it's deformed, see what condition that's in, and try to isolate where the problem's coming from. Also, if you look right here, we have some valve cover leaks. I got new gaskets for that. We're going to replace these valve cover gaskets and just kind of take it apart and try to isolate some problems, fix them before the season gets too bad. And we're having to mow every week. So let's get this apart, see what we find. Okay, so first of all, the O-ring, the old O-ring, looked pretty darn good, and it was stuck to the block, nice and firm stuck. I had to kind of pull it off. It wasn't like aggressively attached, but it had a really good seal, and you'll notice that it's not deformed. It's not just an O-ring, it's like an oval. It's wider this way than it is this way. And I had thought that when I torqued it in that it's possible that I rolled it a little bit, but it's not at all. So I think the cause of my issue lays right there. I think that main seal is spewing oil right in there. I think that's the horse of my issue. So anyway, I also got this off. I have another video as to why and how to take this off. And yeah, look at that. Yep, that's a good way to blow a motor right there. Let that get all caked up. Holds grease, holds dirt, holds all kinds of icky stuff. Then that part of your head doesn't cool. This does, that doesn't. And it causes all kinds of havoc. So what I'm going to do is get all that cleaned out in there. Button this back up. Well, I still got to replace the valve gasket, or valve cover gaskets. And this might be, I might milk this through the summer and replace that in the fall or winter. Pull the motor off and throw it on the workbench, and hopefully there's numerous tutorials how to do that, and if not, I know a guy. So alrighty, let's clean this up and then get those valve covers off. Okay, just a quick comment. When this is holding up grass back here due to that cover I haven't cleaned up yet, be sure you reach all the way back up in here. You can reach all the way back up in here where the flywheel is at, and you get all kinds of icky nastiness that gets, you want to kind of reserve yourself to these fins here, but it gets all caught up back in there also. So I got the valve cover bolts removed, and I'm going to clean up the block surface there, remove the gasket, get that cleaned up, and put it back on. Okay, it is most imperative that this gasket was just powerfully brittle, chunked off in big pieces. But that being said, you'll notice those little black pieces there, those can actually keep it from sealing, so I need to get all those cleaned off. I've got them off around the outer sealing edge. Here's the new gasket. There's a part number for that part. I got two of them, one for each side. Here's the part for the O-ring on the oil cooler. No affiliation with Bill's Place, I just bought them online. And but this is the first one I've taken off. I haven't got the other one off yet, but I just want to mention, be sure you get all of that stuff off, and do not use metal. I'm actually using a plastic putty knife to I put it in the parts cleaner for a minute, soften it up, and then that didn't work real well, so I went to just a bottle degreaser to try to soften it and use a plastic putty knife. You scratch that with metal and you leaky till you buy a new cover. Alrighty, let's move. Okay, real quick, before I put this back on, when you put the cover back on, make sure it doesn't hang up on that plate. Notice when I grab this and push, I can push it out the way. If that's over here and you got the corner of that valve cover on that and you torque it down, that's going to cause all grades of havoc that you don't want. So be sure that's pushed over out of the way and held there until you torque it down. Okay, so here's the other side, and as you can see, oh, this one's a lot better. Shoot, look at that. That's actually coming off in bigger chapters. Let's see here. Yeah, this one may not be as nasty a fight as the first one. Oh yeah, look at that, just little pieces. But you can see how it's just busting. It's brittle, it's leaking, it's just icky. By the end of the season, yeah, see, that came off one big piece. So yeah, so we'll get this all cleaned up, that side, this side, and get that one put back on as well. Yeah, don't forget in here, yeah, that seals as well. Okay, got the block side clean. We got the block side of the oil cleaner clean for the oval ring, I guess you call it, and the new ring. So yes, I could have spent a little bit more time on this, but I know that if that back seal is blowing oil, this thing's going to be filthy again pretty quick. So I'm going to get that on there so it stays, get it on there, torque it down, get the oil filter on there. I've got this valve cover in the parts cleaner as we speak. Yeah, that came clean real good. Just got a little bit of discoloration right there, a little cooked oil or something. To get all that hooky do all soaked up, get all that old stuff as much out of there as you can. So alrighty, get this oil filter put back on and get that valve cover put back on. Okay, so there's a lot of moving parts here. So when I bolt this down, you'll see that this plate wants to go there. Look up here. I can either bolt that there, or I can move it over just a little bit. See how it's touching the valve cover there, but it's not here? I'm definitely going to want it over here. I don't want that plate touching the valve cover for vibration. That could, that right there. I'm going to try to push that over, torque that bolt down, and then there's a plate that goes over top of these two here. But make sure that all these plates, oh, another thing was down here. This one, yeah, where it matches right there. You can either bolt it to where it's up touching the block, I would bring it down just a little bit to where there's nice clearance, not up tight, just down. Bolt it there where there's airflow between. Two surfaces aren't touching. Alright, got it all back together. Valve cover. I have not put oil back in. I cleaned the air filter. One more thing is you can always tell the life or what's going on with an engine through the spark plug, and that right there shows that it's a little high in cholesterol and saturated fats. So believe it or not, that is a little dark. I'm not a fan of that plug being that dark. That's a lot of carbon. It could be a sign of a bigger problem. I'm just going to start it there because I don't want to lay it down. I'm going to pull the other side real quick. Okay. Let's see what this side looks like. Yeah, that's good and black too. Alright, well, I don't replace them unless I need to, unless they're broken or non-functional. I'll take it into the bench grinder and clean them up with the wire wheel. Let me get those cleaned up. Okay, so the reason I say don't throw it away, if it's not broken or non-functional, why throw it in a landfill and buy a new one? We got supply issues enough the way it is, so why waste a good spark plug when all it needs is cleaned up a little? Now when it comes to the electrode, I'm real cautious. I just get them little bristles on the edge and just kind of spit shine that a little bit. Nothing fancy. Focus, Danielson. Focus. See, mucho better. Mucho better. Alright, get that put back in. Not a darn thing wrong with it. Alright, plugs back in. One thing I like to do before putting oil in and giving it the startup, still got to put the breather cover back on, is check your parts bin. Make sure you don't have any unexplained bolts that you haven't put back on. That's just the old O-ring from the oil cooler. Empty. Yep, we are squared away. So we'll get some oil in there, breather cover, kick it up, see how it runs. Okay, before I put that cowling back on, I just want to make sure it starts up and runs good. For a minute and make sure there's no obvious leaks or issues, and button up that cowling.